If you've been told that you're intimidating, that you're too much, that you're one of the boys, if you're tired of having to explain how you like to be touched, your desires over and over, your needs, if the idea of surrender feels completely terrifying to you because you like to be in control, you like a plan, and this episode of the Pleasure Principles podcast is your permission slip. Let's talk about kink. I'm not talking about whips and chains and handcuffs. I'm talking about kink as a concept, the doorway to connection, pleasure, intimacy, maybe even what your relationship has been missing. And this work starts with you, not your partner. In my experience, kink can be the doorway to connection, to presence, to finally feeling met in a way that your body can trust. And this work starts with you, regardless of your partner. For me, kink is a nervous system tool, not a bedroom trick. So for us high-achieving women, we live in the doing. The over-functioning is our default. When we have time to relax, it could take a full 7 days for us to even feel relaxed when we're on vacation. Kink offers an interruption to that loop, to our nervous system state of being where we're so comfortable and familiar. So we have these masculine traits, we're praised for them, and I'm not even really talking about masculine, feminine anymore because it's been so overdone, so butchered, but more the concept of super traits, where the women that I work with, we've been, maybe it's called codependency type A, where we are open, flexible, agreeable, loyal, hardworking, tolerant. Okay. And this makes us amazing in career, makes us amazing mothers, amazing partners in certain ways. If we want a CEO employee dynamic, if we want a mother child dynamic, which is not really what most of the women that I work with want. And I'm going to get into that. We live in our heads, not our bodies. We are thinking of our to-do list while having sex. We can only orgasm in one way with a certain toy. We can only want to have sex when XYZ criteria are met. Like, it's very rigid. Or we're so hyper-focused on sex because that is how we are unwinding or getting out of that parasympathetic nervous system state. Or maybe we're with an emotionally unavailable partner and it's the only time we feel close and connected and intimate is when we're having sex. But either way, there's this like effort, there's this struggle, there's this lack of ease and presence and flow. And I want to be clear. And I'm like, do I even title an episode about kink? Will they even listen to it? Because this is not whips and handcuffs. It is a way into your body, your truth, and the parts of you that have been silenced by success, by society, by what we think our roles are as mother, as wife. For high-achieving women, kink is a portal out of our head and into our presence. It's a space where we don't have to lead. We don't have to perform. We get to feel. Welcome to the Pleasure Principles podcast, a place where high-achieving women are ready to decode low libido, sexless marriages, and hidden power dynamics draining their desire, their vitality. It's killing you slowly. That is actually researched, evidence-based facts. I'm your host, Dr. Jordan Wiggins. I'm a naturopathic doctor, author of The Pink Canary, and I am a strategist for women who have it all except good sex. I'm also a trained dominatrix. I am also a coercive control certified clinician. And it's just, sometimes it feels a little long to talk about all of these things, but it is relevant for today's episode. For these successful women navigating emotional burnout, low desire, a relationship that looks fine from the outside, a life that people envy from the outside looking in, but you feel unseen, untouched, and you're not sure why. So, in the BDSM world, kink refers to any sexual practice, fantasy, interest that falls outside of the conventional vanilla sex. This can include a wide range of experiences, from dominance and submission, bondage, spanking, role play, sensation play, power exchange. And at its core, kink is about consent. Everything must be mutually agreed upon. It's about communication before, during, and after. My episode on aftercare is one of my highest downloaded episodes because to heterosexual couples, the concept of aftercare just like it doesn't exist. Trust between all parties involved and exploration of boundaries, roles, limits, desires. Kink doesn't necessarily involve pain, penetration, masks, whips, and it's not always sexual. For many, it's about power dynamics, it's about intimacy, it's about emotional release. Sign me up. I know many of you are thinking the same thing. So kink creates containers where every part of you, every facet of you, the soft, the dominant, the yearning, the wild, the weak is welcome. And when it's done right, it's less about what happens in the bedroom and more about finally feeling safe enough to let go for a lot of my clients. So my experience with kink started academically, of course, as it does with any superwoman overachiever with multiple degrees. I started approaching it from an academic standpoint, like, what is this? What is here? What do I need to learn to be better at my work? And I realized that in the BDSM and kink community, there are so many elements of what my clients are seeking, which is the consent, which is the communication, which is the trust, which is the exploration. And that's just inherently built in to kink and BDSM, and it's built in a safe way. And I've really come to realize that we cannot have pleasure and we cannot have connection and the intimacy that we desire without a full understanding of power and how power is taken away or freely given. Because a lot of the women that I work with, there are unequal power dynamics in their relationship, and it's exhausting them and it's destroying intimacy. So, with my overachieving superwoman brain, I needed to know all there was to know and I needed to immerse myself. So, I did 2 Dom schools and 1 sub training. And actually, let me back it up because many of you listening will not even know what a Dom and a sub is. So, a Dom, dominant, the person who is leading, guiding, controlling the scene, what happens. They may direct sensation, set the structure, exert power, always within negotiated limits and with the sub's consent. And a good Dom is not a tyrant. They're attuned, they're responsive, they're responsible. And it is their job to create a safe container for surrender. And many of my clients, the high achieving, successful women that they are, think that they want to be dominant, the one who leads, guides, and controls. But the interesting part is that when we actually start exploring these dynamics, even just theoretically, even just through worksheets and handouts, they really want to be more submissive. So a sub is the person who surrenders power and control during a scene. And this could look like following instructions, receiving sensation, embodying vulnerability, all things that my clients need to work on. And the interesting part is initially when this is brought up, and I've talked about this many times at my retreats, but submission isn't weakness. It's actually an act of trust, and it's a choice to be led in service of deeper connection or sensation or catharsis, healing. So think of it like this. So the dominant is the energy holder, the ones who's leading, not by force. Okay. And I think that's kind of taboo popular opinion or media opinion is this Dom is somebody that's just like spanking, inflicting pain. But a good Dom, the best Doms are attuned to their partner's nervous systems. A good Dom's leading with clarity, not ego. They're not overpowering or taking away power. They're witnessing, they're guiding, they're leading, they're expanding. And the sub would be the conscious surrenderer, the one who's softening, who's opening, who's allowing. And submissives aren't passive, it's actually brave as hell and taking a ton of power to trust and self awareness to let go and know your limits and be able to say no. And a good submissive knows that surrender isn't about giving up power. It's about choosing who's safe enough to hold it, to hold you. And many of my clients are in relationship dynamics. The safety, the trust, the surrender, it has all been eroded long ago, especially because of super traits, and they're generally with an under-functioning partner. In another interesting part or another layer is that the high achievers with super traits have no idea that they have given away their power in relationship and they've centered their relationship around their partner. They are powerful. They lead at work. Oftentimes they're the higher earner. They call the shots or wear the pants. But they're doing this all with their dick strapped on. And they are exhausted and burnt out because it feels inauthentic. So we think we have power in these decision making and we manage people, but we do it by being open, by accommodating, by flexing, using our super traits, and we've outsourced our personal power. So when we make a decision, we're usually thinking of all the possibilities. We're thinking of 10 steps ahead. We're thinking of how everyone involved could possibly, how they could be affected. We're thinking, what should we do? We're asking others. And again, none of this is wrong or I'm not shaming it. It's just when it comes to massive orgasm and connection and surrender and presence, we're not doing it when we're focused on other people because we're considering everyone and everything except for our needs, or we sacrifice our needs or accept a crumb. I want to talk about what kink is to me, how I understand it with my superwoman brain. Kink to me, how I understand it in my super trait brain, is kink is a conscious exploration of power, sensation, surrender that is rooted in consent, communication, and trust. Oh, like sign me up. Tingles. I'm going to say it again. Listen to your body because you probably got tingles too. Kink is a conscious exploration of power, sensation, surrender, rooted in consent, communication, and trust. It's not just whips and handcuffs. It is a way into your body, your truth, the parts of you that have been silenced by your success and the roles that you are taught to play in life. For high achieving women, kink is a portal out of your head and into presence, into pleasure. It's a space where you don't have to lead, where you don't have to perform. You get to feel. Kink creates containers where every part of you, the soft, the dominant, the yearning, the wild, is welcome, where your partner's is too. I've been working with more and more men and the relief they feel when they can bring all of them, the parts that they're scared to share with their partner. And men take to this concept a lot easier, I think, because in heterosexual couples in society, sex is surrounded by male's pleasure and they feel like pleasure is their birthright. I have to teach women that pleasure is their birthright and then they open into all of these things. But men take to this so much quicker. When kink is done right, I'm going to say it again. It's less about what happens in the bedroom and more about having a nervous system that is regulated enough to tolerate sensation, pain, or pleasure. And working with women that finally feel safe enough to let go, that finally are like, wait a second, I don't really identify with the Dom archetype. I really just want to surrender and let go, regardless. And we can play and we can switch, and there is so much to explore here. But regardless, kink demands full presence, whether you're surrendering or leading. There's no spreadsheet, there's no checklist, just sensation. Superwomen are not good at sensation. Our receiving capacity is blocked for the reasons that you have heard me say over and over in this podcast. Pleasure centers are off. We are great tolerators of stress and working hard. So we are good at fight, flight, freeze, fawn. We are not good at receiving. So this is pleasure mastery. This is step 3 on the pleasure path. And it's not about performance, it's about presence. And kink is a tool that requires presence that we can learn to practice in and out of the bedroom. And our bodies don't lie. We can't fake surrender. Just like checkbox sex is felt by both parties, so is faking being dominant or faking being a sub. And it's kind of like the bullshit sex that you all have been having. Not present, checking it off, thinking about what you have to do, doing it out of obligation, chasing it because you don't feel emotionally or physically met in any of the other areas of your relationship. I hear several of my clients saying things like, I want to be dominated. I want my man to lead. I want him to just know. Many of my clients say, I want to be dominated. I want him to lead. I want him to just know. I want to be ravished. But they still try to control every minute of the sex, or they're disappointed by his choice of restaurant or when he does lead. This is called topping from the bottom. Directing, managing, fixing. It's what we're used to do. It's our survival mode, but it is not surrender. And it's our work to do. We were talking about this in my Pleasure Principles group coaching. Okay, this isn't our fault. We've had to be in control everywhere else. We're rewarded from it. It's been our mechanism to stay safe. Control as a means to be safe. But we are not emotionally and physically available, and usually neither are our partners. Kink reveals how hard it is to trust, or how hard it can be, and how healing it is to finally learn to let go, to surrender, to not be in control every moment. So the interesting part, the irony of this is my clients, they say they desire these elements of kink, but they have no fucking clue how to receive it or where to start. And the dynamics are so off in their relationship because they have been leading for so long, even though they don't truly want to. And that's the misalignment. And we're not black and white here, right? It's not like we're surrendering and letting somebody lead in every single aspect of our lives. And there is no consent and there is no communication and there is no trust. Let's not use our trauma brain in black and white thinking here. So the other thing that I wish superwomen knew about kink is that they only think they're dominant. When we start exploring kink, some women kind of lean towards doming because they feel like it's their nature. That's where they're comfortable leading, calling the shots. And they're also showing up the same way in sex every single time. They're having sex in the same energy over and over and over. No wonder why it's fucking boring and no one really wants to do it, or you're doing it to check the box. Because you're the CEO, you're the leader, you're the one with the plan, you're the one that everyone looks to know what to do next. And this is kind of how you're approaching sex, checking the same boxes. But often what my clients discover is this: they're not turned on by more control. They crave safety, surrender, but they don't have a partner or a relationship dynamic set up to do so. And that's what I'm helping them do. And kink gives us a place, a framework to start exploring what they've never had permission to admit. That they want to feel held, claimed, chosen, to deeply let go, to receive without having to work for it. And then they freak out because they've been enabling and overfunctioning and they don't feel like they have a partner that can hold them. And truthfully, some of you do not. When we go down this path, you will realize that he truly cannot. But oftentimes, it's just our fear. And it's a dynamic that we have helped create, we've helped set up. And when we stop playing that game and really get clear on what we want, usually our men are happy to step up and give us exactly that. 3 benefits of understanding kink and BDSM for high achieving women. Number 1, receiving doesn't come naturally to women who have always earned and felt like they had to work for everything. Number 2, in kink, especially with the skilled dom, there is no performance, no pretending, just being seen, full, and still chosen. Number 3, it's not about pain. It's about being free to be and to feel without the pressure to lead. I'm going to tell you something. You can't skip to kink. If you've skipped the basics of anything, right, we're not going to go from not working out at all to a deadlifting competition. We need nervous system regulation, hormone balance. We need our pleasure centers to be turned on so we can even know what we desire. We can connect to this part of ourselves where we can feel. We need to learn about pleasure beliefs and what even is this concept? How does this fit into my relationship? And it is so therapeutic. It is so healing for my clients, but we can't just skip to kink. We can't just pass pleasure basics, pleasure beliefs, and go straight to pleasure mastery. It will not work. It's why everything that you've tried hasn't worked to fix your relationship to this point. Kink done well is pleasure mastery. It's more advanced intimacy. We need a regulated container and a self-aware woman who isn't confusing domination, disconnection, a woman who knows what sensation is alive for her, what her desires are. She has a yes, she has a no. And that is a recipe for great sex. That is what I teach inside Pleasure Principles group coaching. And if a part of you felt seen and awakened listening to this episode, if you've been listening to me and it feels like I'm speaking to you, if you're realizing that there is this part of you that wants surrender, that wants to explore, that wants to be cared for, that wants to put play back into their life and their relationship, but you've never had a safe place to land, you've never had a safe place to feel witness, you've controlled to stay safe. If the thought of kink, domination, erotic surrender lights you up, but also brings a little fear, you want to clutch to control, maybe you're still a little confused, you don't need more sex tips. You don't need more communication formulas. You need a space where you learn your power, your pleasure. For those of you that do not want to live another day feeling the way you feel, another day pretending like it doesn't hurt and it doesn't matter, private coaching is for women like you, ready to go deep, ready to unwind your survival patterns, your erotic shutdown patterns, to explore power, pleasure, a place where you can truly learn to be present, to learn pleasure through a lens that actually fits your life, your nervous system, the way your brain works, your success. My private coaching is where we do the deep work in safety, in truth, in pleasure, and in power, and in reclaiming your erotic power, this part of you that was always there. It was always present. It's just turned off. Head to the show notes and apply to work with me for private coaching. I have 2 spots available. We can fast track your understanding of pleasure basics, pleasure beliefs, and get you to pleasure mastery faster than you think possible. Because all of the answers, all of the tools are inside you. We just need to get those blocks out of the way and do it in a way that feels safe and inviting and makes sense to your superwoman brain. So let's do this. Don't wait. These things do not fix themselves. Don't let it get worse before it gets better, because we know you're a good tolerator. Head to the show notes, apply, let's get on a call, we'll chat and see if working together is a fit or in what capacity. Now go be a good girl. Don't confuse control with connection. And if you're ready to surrender somewhere safe, head to the show notes. Applications for private coaching are open.